Appreciate the time. This is Christian, JP 5 from 5 with world's greatest chiropractor, Dr. Dennis Nikitow. And today we're adjusting me. My question of the day, doctor, is why is chiropractic care necessary? That's one. It's sort of a two-part question. Why is chiropractic care necessary? And then what are the common misconceptions of chiropractic care? And how can we clear that up for the audience?
So let me say this. I'm going to have you come over to this poster.
Okay.
Okay.
This is me walking with one shoe. The man with one shoe.
So here's the thing. First of all, chiropractors, and this is the misconception,
Okay.
and this is why everyone needs a chiropractor.
Can you see yourself in there, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Everyone needs a chiropractor because, first of all, we're not back pain doctors, we're nerve doctors.
Nerve doctors. So that's one point.
Yeah. So when we look at, come on over here, we'll go into the private room here.
Okay.
I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we look at a chart, okay, this is a regular autonomic nervous system chart, regular medical chart. Here's your brain, here's your spinal cord, and here's your nerves. What does your brain control? Your brain controls everything, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, this is the everything. You got all your organs, glands, tissues, you got all these parts. People typically think of chiropractic as back pain doctors because we work on the back.
Right.
But see, the first chiropractic patient was deaf, and it was sort of discovered by accident. He was in his doctor's office, Dr. Palmer. He was sort of working on discovering things with the spine. He was researching and so on. Anyway, he said Harvey Lillard, which is the janitor's name that was cleaning his office, was deaf for 18 years. And he said, "How did you get deaf?" And he said he was stooped under a stairwell and he heard a pop in his back. So Palmer checked him, and all of a sudden he found this bone, which he felt was out of place. He pushed on it and heard a big pop. Okay, so then Harvey started hearing a crackling in his ear. Well, he did this subsequently for 3 days, and he was on the 3rd floor of the Brady Building in Davenport, Iowa. Okay, and what happened was Harvey Lillard could hear the wagon wheels going in the street, and he could hear that those old watches that they open and click, click, click,
Oh, right.
while across the room. So Palmer thought he had the cure for deafness. It wasn't deafness. It was all of a sudden people started coming. He advertised that he had a cure for deafness, and people would come and he'd adjust them, and they found that other problems were disappearing. Women with menstrual problems, people with sinus problems, headaches, low back pains, numbness, digestive problems, everything. So they developed a profession. They came up with, holy smoke, if you put a kink in this spine and that nerve is trying to get out to that part, it will not work efficiently. So what we look for is what's called subluxation, okay? A subluxation is the block to the nerve, because when the brain impulse comes through here, it has to activate every cell of your body. And these cells are all new within 6 months. People don't know that. Like, you have a new heart in 6 weeks, you have a new skin in 4 weeks, you have a new stomach every 4 days. So the cells are dying and replacing as we're speaking. If a bone is out of place choking on the nerve, the cells become diseased. The word disease means lack of health. So essentially, this is what we look for. Subluxation can occur in any part of any joint of the body. That's why we can adjust different parts of the body. But if a subluxation occurs here at the spine, it blocks the nerve and causes disease cells. So you can damage tissues, you can damage discs, damage the nerve itself, you can imbalance hormones, you can dysfunction organs. When you go to doctors and you have back pain, what they do is just inject you with medicine like cortisone, anti-inflammatories, different things like that. But you never get the bone back into place. When we take a look at pictures like this, like scoliosis, you see this guy came in with this crooked spine, okay, and he was a child. He was about 12, 13 years old, and then we got him perfectly straight. They were going to put rods in his back. Now this young boy is graduated college, and he's now an orthopedic surgeon, and he understands chiropractic, okay? But you can have digestive problems with that, you can have all sorts of things. So the subluxation doesn't cause any kind of symptom any more than cavities or heart disease or cancer. You don't get symptoms until the disease progresses far enough. So it's like putting a rubber band on your finger. You put a rubber band on your finger, it doesn't hurt now, but leave it there a month. So it's important that people do this, get their spine checked, get their posture checked. If you look over here, this is all medical research. And these are in the CU Medical Center and several doctors' offices who do alternative health care. But you could see things like asthma. That's what I had all my life. I was going to be an optometrist, and I went to a chiropractor because I hurt my low back, and my asthma went away. So it blew my mind. So I was like, this is what happened. So he explained it all to me, obviously. But look here, you can see, this is from the Journal of the American Medical Association. It talked about ulcers, okay? And they talked about how 80% of the problems with ulcers, they find the subluxation right in the middle of the back. And those are the nerves that would go to the stomach. I mean, you see all these kind of things. Tachycardia, that's racing, skipping heartbeat. Hearing issues over here. You see dizziness and vertigo, headaches. I mean, the list goes on. Any type of problem, there's been medical research to show that if your spine is subluxated or out of alignment, then what happens is your body won't function as it's supposed to. It won't function at 100%. So what we're after as chiropractors isn't relieving your back pain, it's getting your spine in line, then your body starts to fire nerves correctly. And realistically, chiropractors don't put bones into place. What happens, it's all neurological. So you have all these trillions of nerve receptors around your body, and what happens is those nerve receptors respond to pressure. So they're firing equally to the brain, right? So they should fire equally side to side and front to back. Well, if all of a sudden you get in a trauma or you overuse one side, like you sit always leaning to one side, or like nowadays we see people looking at computers and
Right.
just firing and firing and firing, the impulse is going here. Well, like a whiplash injury will do the same thing. When you whip your head, the receptors in the front oversensitize. They then tell the muscles to pull your head forward, and when you pull your head forward like this, you compress on the disc joints and nerves. This is the leading cause of headache. You can get numbness, tingling in your hands. You can get all sorts of pressure that would affect your heart, your lung. You can affect your jaw, because as your head goes forward, the strap muscles underneath the jaw pull the jaw tighter, and you end up with TMJ, which is another problem that we work with. Now, not all chiropractors work with jaw or TMJ or cranium, but I do cranial work and stuff. I adjust the bones in the skull. But again, what we're trying to do when we fix the spine is we identify the pattern, and then all of a sudden when we fire the nerves to the opposing side, we do repetitive adjustments, and then we do repetitive exercises. And like you know yourself, when you came in, your neck was completely straight and flat like this, and now we've got a nice curve in it.
Right.
You leave your neck like this, flat like that, eventually what happens is the weight of your head, 12 to 16 pounds, these discs are taking all the weight of your head. The discs should be shared within the whole neck. The whole neck should have a curve in it like we see here. And there should be an angle on that neck, okay, of 40 degrees. Okay, so if we don't see the proper angle, here this one's a little easier to see. If we don't see a proper curve in the neck, then what happens is the discs get overloaded. The physics changes. This angle was developed by an orthopedic surgeon from Baylor University called Ruth Jackson. It's called Ruth Jackson lines. And essentially the weight of your head, 12 to 16 pounds, needs to be carried between each bone and disc. Well, kids in sports now, you look at kids in sports and you look at, auto accidents, you look at all these kind of things. People think a whiplash just comes from an auto accident. It comes from whipping the head. That's a mechanism. It just happens in an accident. But when that happens, then the nerve receptors overfire here. They tell the brain to activate this muscle. It pulls the neck forward. Next thing you know, you're out of alignment like this. Over time, the weight of that head's being carried here, and it's not being shared between every bone and disc. So you end up with degeneration, you end up with arthritis, a lot of pain. You can damage the spinal cord, you can damage the nerves. So
That's where I was headed.
yeah. Well, again, and so
That's
the
where I was, actually.
That's where you were. The biological age is different than the chronological age. Like you could be 50 years old, or you could be 30 years old and have a spine like a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old or something like that. So essentially you say, well, why should you have your spine checked? That's why. Because nowadays, spinal problems, back pain hits 90% of the population, 87% to be exact. That's crazy, okay? So what does it tell us? It tells us that people aren't doing anything or not doing the right thing to correct their spine and posture. What they need to do is they need to see a chiropractor that does the kind of work we do. We do three-dimensional work. People go to my website, nickatochiropractic.com. They can see a little 6-minute video and explains the neurology behind how this works. And we show before and after x-rays. We show x-rays that are all crooked in the spine, then they're straight, and we fix them. We show necks like yours that was straight now has a proper curve. But again, people, kids with migraines, that's crazy. They're getting migraines because the leading cause of headaches comes from the base of the skull. And if the spine is not in the proper alignment, not only are they going to get headaches, they're going to get other things because you're dealing with what's called your brainstem. That's this area right here. Your brainstem controls a lot of stuff, like for instance, the nerves that go all the way down to your gut, these green ones, okay? Those are parasympathetics. Your vagus nerve, which controls virtually all your gut, comes from right out of here. So when we see patients that have problems with their neck up here, they're going to have digestive problems. They're going to have emotional problems.
That's what I had.
They're going to get depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
ADHD. We bat almost 100% with ADHD cases.
So that's where my son's at now.
Yeah, it's this kind of stuff that we work on. So why should everyone see a chiropractor? Because the medical profession does not do what we do. Nothing to take away from them, but they're more crisis oriented. When you're taking care of your spine and posture, okay, what you're taking care of is your nervous system. Because God made it this way. He made the brain first, spinal cord second, nerves last. Then the organs start coming. That's the embryology of how our bodies actually developed. You put kinks in here, and that brain can't tell that part how to work efficiently. So that's essentially what why I became a chiropractor, because it wasn't about back pain, it was about my asthma going away. Because I was on medication all my life. And it was like I'm at 22 years old entering optometry school, or 23 years old, and the next thing I know, it's my asthma's gone. Why didn't anybody tell me about that earlier? So that's why I'm very passionate about obviously what I do, trying to explain things. I do a lot of education to patients. They do a lot of YouTube videos, things like this, so patients can get the information that they need.
What's that website again, Doc?
Yeah, Knick A Toe, Nikitow, chiropractic.com.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, thanks for having me.